Well, ladies and gentlemen, the Autobahn Sportscar Challenge season number 15 hits its 11th spot on the calendar. As last time out back in the middle part of February, we headed to the Brickyard Indianapolis Motor Speedway, but it's time for not just round 11 of the Sportscar Challenge, but it's also the penultimate round of the Autobahn Endurance Cup. Welcome along, everybody, up here in the JP Broadcasting booth. It's Alex Goldschmidt, this time joined by none other than JP, Mr. James Parfitt himself. We've got a 90-minute race on the cards here around this 3.45 mile 17-turn circuit that was established on the old ground of Hendricks Air Force Base that did a lot of training for pilots between 1941 and 1946. JP, welcome in. Got a bit of a bumper grid here in this Floridian circuit, just 70 miles south of Orlando.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting, this one, I think, as well, seeing how these guys are going to get on and how it's going to work. But I'm looking forward to it. Sebring, of course, comes towards the end of qualifying right now, so we'll be up and running very, very shortly. And as you can see, we've got 21 cars. Whether or not Trevor Vorovsky is going to be onto the grid, we're going to find out very, very shortly. Some of these drivers are coming towards the end of their qualifying, of course. It is to start, obviously, with the GTPs, the final one. Dominic Dorenberg is out on track. He's weaving behind, there he is, behind the bridge. So, yeah, looking forward to seeing how this one goes and seeing whether or not all of these cars get to the end. But you say, 90 minutes is a long old time.
Indeed, and what that means for this round of the series is, again, a double points extravaganza. We'll have 3 more rounds to go, Hockenheim, Aragon, and then the 90-minute finale at Spa-Francorchamps on April the 13th. Dominic Dernberg in the number 913 Acura comes to a halt as that concludes our qualifying session for round number 11. 21 cars due to start. 20 have taken their opportunity to get round this particular circuit. GTPs will have a fuel limit of 80%, LMP2s 90%, GTD and GTD AM will have 67% fuel limit. No BOP to be discussed because it's not applicable according to the driver's briefing side of things, but it will be a rolling start. And 20x incident points allowed. Further incidents will be resulting in a drive-through penalty for every 5x after the initial 20. So it's all about getting it right here at Sebring. Of course, bumpy, undulating, flatter than a Dutch pancake. But it still provides really, really good close racing here, JP.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's Sebring, isn't it? Everybody should know this by now. They all would have done special events. They all would have done Sebring 12 hours and they all would have run it. So they should all know it by now. But it is the bumps. Doesn't matter how many times you run it right. I find it very hard to see one person who could tell me where every bump is on this racetrack. There's so many and across many different lines, and that's one thing that might catch some of these out. Of course, the other thing, as we have been paying attention over the last week or so, is cold tyres. They've got to be careful of that because if they don't wait, and as we saw Friday, I think it was, in another league that we do, cold tyres was a big thing, and it's going to still be a big thing here as well, especially in the LMP, especially in the GTP. And to be fair, it's probably going to be highly exaggerated in the GTDs as well. So lots to play for, but they've got to be careful of them cold tyres.
Yeah, and at the end of qualifying, track temperature nearly 34 degrees centigrade, 24 degrees air, but we go towards, I think, sunset here at Sebring, which will add a nice little bit of a dynamic. Here's your grid for round number 11 and round 3 of the Autobahn Endurance Cup. Brandon Wilson will start from pole position in the Hyperion Racing BMW. Nathan Dowd alongside on the front row. Dominic Dernberg rounds out the top 3 in GTP. 3 LMP2s will be taking to the grid with Kadin Richardson, the series leader, head of Mo Islam, and Robert Tinsey returns to the grid here at round 11. Nick Davis, Michael Moss, Bradley Haley, Ross Booth and Robert Cast round out the top 11 with Samuel de Oliveira, the Portuguese man of war in the Mustang, rounds out the top 12 in the GTD AM pole position. Carter Kundiger makes a return in a composite performance car and he's got Ryan Waschleski alongside in the Satellite Racing number 86 Aston Martin. Paul Slavonic, Dale Green, Shane Hunter, Chris Sherburn, Mark Kudrowski, Rich Minkler and Trevor Vavrovsky round out your starting grid. And with that change, it is going to be the case that we have slightly lower track temperatures. 25.5 degrees track temp, 23.4 degrees air temp. And we are running at 6 p.m. server time here on iRacing, so we may find that the headlights will stay ablaze for the entirety of the 90 minutes. But also with that, JP, with regards to, say, colder temperatures, we know these drivers are not going to be able to make a set of tyres last a whole 90 minutes. That is a tall order here at Sebring.
It's going to be very, very tough indeed, to be blatantly honest with you. And I think that's one of the things they're going to have to look out for, is whether or not they can and how far they can go with the tyres. You know, you've got to be sensible with it. It's an abrasive surface at the same time, but they've got to make sure that they can maintain that and don't want to come slipping and sliding if they do end up trying to double stint. And to be fair, some of these probably would have double stinted in multiple endurance races that they've done at Sebring. So is it worth a go? It probably is worth a go. But I tell you what, you've got to be a little bit of a tyre whisperer to make sure you've still got tyres at the end. Otherwise, you might as well just be Bambi on ice, because that's what they're going to be looking out for.
Exactly. Colder temperatures on the track will mean that the tyres will need that extra lap or two to get them up to temperature. But Brandon Wilson looking to solidify his lead in the series in the GTP division, heading into the final 3 rounds. We've got, as I said, Hockenheim, 16th of March, Aragon, 30th of March, April the 13th, Spa, where it's 90 minutes, and that will decide our Season 15 champions. On board with Kadeem Richardson in the number 082, Delara P217, the de facto LMP2 car that runs on the iRacing service, as we're waiting for a few more drivers just to ready up as the Porsche safety car is ready to lead the field over what will be a full tour of this 3.45 mile circuit. Along with the bumpiness, the undulation, we've also got to factor in track surface differentials here, JP, because the tarmac here at Sebring is always known to be quite patchy at times.
And that's one of the things they're going to have to look out for. It's really difficult because you want to sit here and, like we've said, you know, they know what they're doing and everything else. But as you say, with that mixture of asphalt and concrete, it's going to be abrasive. It's going to be tough. And they've just got to make sure that they can get these tyres to the end, because otherwise they could be in trouble. I can't express how sort of cold tyres are really going to play a factor here, because it is, and it does take longer now, and the updates and the tyre updates and everything else, it definitely does play a big part of what you're going to be able to do here. So let's see how they get on. We've got a full pace lap ahead of us, and hopefully some of these drivers, well, you probably will see them weaving, because after all, weaving finally does something now in iRacing, where before it did absolutely nothing. So it will enhance the heat in your tyres. So let's see what happens.
Waiting for Mark Kudrowski to join the 21-strong grid. Looks like he will not start from the Indianapolis-style 2x2 rolling start formation. As you can see, well, there's more than weaving. There's frantic weaving from side to side as we ride on board with the 082, Kadeem Richardson, who has been a very, very strong competitor. And more to the point, he's had a great amount of consistency. However, that has been somewhat trifled, so to speak, because there's been a couple of races. I mean, Bathurst, he had an absolute nightmare. Road America, he finished P4. Mosport, P4. But after that, you know, Daytona won the race. One at Road Atlanta, one at Motegi, one at Long Beach, one at the Algarve. Finished second at Jerez, Indianapolis. He needs to get back to winning ways, because he wants to extend that gap over Mr. Robert Tinsley. Mo Islam, however, who finally broke his duck and got his win at Mount Panorama back on January 19th, he really is starting to close on in to those in front. And I think that maybe with 3 rounds to go after this, if Mo Islam has a good run at this race, he has an opportunity to challenge Kadeem Richardson in the dying rounds of the Championship Series. And what we always love, JP, is that a championship is always even more exciting when you go down to the last round of the series and you don't know who's going to win.
Absolutely. You know, we're not watching the throes of Michael Schumacher dominating Formula One, or Max Verstappen dominating Formula One, or Lewis Hamilton doing the same thing. You know, we're talking about the average sim racer sat at home. Don't get me wrong, some of these guys are, are great at this, like Brandon Wilson, 6KI rating. He knows what he's doing around a GTP. But at the same time, you know, do some of them do it professionally? Who knows? Do they do it in IRL? Do they drive? You know, there's a lot of, as you say, ipso facto take into consideration. I think one of the things we've just got to look out for, who's going to be sensible over this opening time. They've got 90 minutes, remember. It isn't just a short, sharp 45-minute or an hour sprint or whatever. It's 90 minutes. It's a long time. There's no need to rush. There's no need to push and try and cause drama on turn one. You know, as they say, you can lose it on lap one. You certainly can't win it.
Yeah. Also, with regards to the specifics for the drivers' briefing, drivers were told to keep as tight to the wall through Sunset Bend for pit lane entrance in, and for pit out, they've got to be aware that they are entering the racing line after exiting T1. So they'll be rejoining, and the other cars that could be coming up on them will be closing in at very, very high speed. Of course, with the start procedure, it will be the fact that as soon as the pace car is in, the green flag will then be called about 3 seconds afterwards. So effectively, iRacing black flag rules for jumping the start are in effect. LMP2 will have to have a 1 second minimum gap to the back of the GTP field, but it's more the case that the GTDs, however, can start their acceleration at the beginning of the pit divider wall at the overhead banner. But we are set and ready for round number 11 of the Autobahn Sportscar Challenge, round 3 of the Autobahn Endurance Cup here at Sebring International Raceway. As the sun is starting to set, the pace car is in pit lane, and it is going to be Brandon Wilson from Hyperion Racing who will bring us to green here at Florida. He gets a good start. Dowd covers off Dunnenberg going into T1. Richardson, Islam and Tinsey are line astern going through the opening corner. Well, Tinsey got, I think, caught a little bit napping. Meantime, there has been a change in the field, because at the moment it is Nick Davis in the GT Dynamics livery in the number 17 car that leads the way into turn number 1. Samuel de Oliveira diving to the inside at turn 1. He's really showcased great pace this season. The Portuguese driver, he's even been battling Bradley Haley, who's trying to battle away with the Lamborghini of Ross Booth, one of the teammates of Robert Cast, who is currently down in 5th position in the GTD side of things. Carlton Gallagher's moved past Samuel de Oliveira. Waszlewski, Slavonic Vavrovsky is now up into P16 overall, as Michael Ross looking a little bit fruity, trying to dive up the inside through at the hairpin as they go through Fangio on Nick Davis, as it's two Mercs leading a Lambo and a Mustang.
Yeah, and these guys started to talk for the first time around. What's kind of happening is what I was afraid of. GTP out front, Wilson 1.3, Dowd 1.1 ahead of Dorenberg, Richardson 2.7. He's got about 7 tenths over Mo Islam, 7 tenths over Tinsey. And then we get into this group of cars here. The GTDs are very, very close together. Pros, yet Oliveira mixing it in there as well. He's ahead of Ryan Waszlewski and Trevor Vavrovsky. So he's doing well for himself to be mixing it up with the pros. But as you can see at the moment here, this is kind of where the fighting's going to be. I was a little bit afraid with the low numbers in the higher upper classes that this might happen. I think most of the action is going to come from here. I'll be very surprised if it comes from the likes of the LMP2, unless they've got drama, of course. Then we're going to find out if it really is going to cause problems. But I think at the moment, Kadeem Richardson, Mo Islam, Tinsey, they might just be settling in because they're almost a second apart at the front already. But it is going to be this mix-up here with Davis and Ross having a great old fight with Booth, Haley, Case in between them.
Yeah, well, Davis, Ross, Booth and Cast are all under the same squad at GT Dynamics. Ross Booth has decided to bring out the FAF Motorsports IMSA livery for this round of the series. Of course, Ross and Booth are no strangers to GTD or GT3 competition. But Nick Davis is holding the fort at the front end, so it is a Nafaltabach 1-2 as we get this great camera shot going through turn 2 as they'll go through down Gurney, and then it's going to be the run down into the hairpin. And there is, you can see how low the sun is. That is going to somewhat, in some respects, hurt their peripheral vision as the sunlight will catch into their eyes. Into the hairpin we go. Ross within 6.5 tenths of a second of Davis. But again, we're right on board with the number 67 from GT Dynamics. and 120 miles an hour. We're going to be heading our way into Cunningham and Collier very shortly. All the way down into second gear, 60 miles an hour. Now accelerates. And there you can see on the top centre of your screens, folks, our leaders in the respective classes. Wilson leading GTP, Richardson LMP2, Davis leading GTD, and Oliveira leading GTD AM. We're only 3.5 minutes in, and I think you're right. We're going to see a big old battle and a half as Carter Kundiger battling away with Rob Cast, this 4th position. But more to the point, Carter Kundiger's got to make up a little bit of time in terms of points before we get so close. He got so close. Now, Carter Kundiger did run for a while in this series in the Ford Mustang, and now he has switched to the Mighty Autobahn. And that 6.2 litre naturally aspirated V8 has got a very, very good amount of torque in a straight line as it's battling away with. And he's going to dive to the inside of Rob Cast, and this is through Sunset Bend. Takes it tight to the wall, the 0-2, gets through, but he was so close over the outside. Mercedes could have nearly scraped the wall, but he keeps Robert Cast at bay, holds on to what is 5th position overall in the GTD division.
Yeah, great racing going on here down in the GTD. You can see Ross, Booth, Haley not very far away from each other whatsoever. It is literally 2.1 across the top 4 in that class. Oliveira has got a little bit more comfortable. He's about 3.1 ahead there of 2nd place. Hunter a bit further back than Green, Sherborne and Minkler also a little bit further back behind him. But some great action taking place as well here. And at the moment we've had zero drama from these guys. It just goes to show the quality of the racing that these guys at Autobahn do put on. We've not had one incident whatsoever to even have to worry about. We're just going to get this great racing. I am a little bit surprised that the Mustang has got over the Aston Martin so quickly and pulling away as well. He's opening up a little bit of a gap. He's pulling that gap down to Haley here from Carter Kundiger. So I am a little bit surprised, but you know, at the end of the day, I think a driver skill has got a lot to do with it. Maybe the Aston, who come in with flying colours, let's not forget, maybe ain't as quick as what people think.
Especially with the fact it's a 4-litre twin-turbo V8s underneath that long snout of Gaydon's finest, and then you've got a 5.4-litre Coyote V8 underneath the bonnet of that Mustang, so that has plenty of noise and torque for days. But you can just see how calm and composed these GTD machines are. But look at Samuel de Oliveira. He is quicker than Robert Cast in a straight line, and also around a full 3.54 miles at the minute. And this man here, he really has, he has been on an absolute tear in terms of his results so far this series. And looking at de Oliveira in the last 3 rounds, well actually, the last 4 out of 5 appearances. He was not at the Algarve. He had other commitments that week. But at Road America, Bathurst, Jerez, and Indy, de Oliveira has had a complete 100% success rate, but he nearly loses the back end, sending it in a bit deep going into turn number 1. However, he is still leading, and the nearest competitor to him, Paul Slavonic in the 528 Acura NSX 83. Rounds out your 2nd place in the AM division, and then Shane Hunter in the 927, who's a new addition, one of the drivers. Well, he has actually raced with us. He raced at Daytona at the beginning of the series, back in late September last year, a 5th place finish, but he is back here racing. But what we've got is 21 cars. Mark Petrowski is closing in on Rich Winkler. But here we see on board with Nick Davis, your GTD Pro and GTD overall leader. It's Davis, Rob, Booth, and they are covered by less than 3/4 of a second. These 3 drivers know each other very, very well, so they can anticipate how the race might pan out their way and whether the Mercedes is going to have the fuel mileage in comparison with the Lamborghini Huracan, which has that naturally aspirated 5.2-litre E10 in the mid part of the chassis. That'll have a bit more of a handling prowess around here at Sebring. You can see Ross Booth. I know that man has done quite a time. Ross does not take much. You can hear that naturally aspirated E10 breathing like a howling banshee down the straight at Oldham.
Yeah, absolutely. He's doing a great job at this moment in time. Is Ross Booth here going to find out if he really is going to be able to get this Lambo hooked up. He's got that final corner done at the moment. Is he going to battle down Ross, down on the run down into turn number 1? You can see on board with him now as well. We were almost alongside. We're going to try and switch back underneath. No, we're not. The Mercedes pulls out, covers us off here, Michael Ross. Now Booth's going to have to go again. He's going to have to sit in once again and wait for his turn here and see what happens.
Yeah, it's always about playing that strategy game, and they have pulled away from Bradley Haley, the Sector 5 Mustang, who does have the opportunity to close up in a lot of respects here, so you never know what might happen over the next 1 hour and 21 minutes.
Yeah, of course, that's the problem, isn't it? There's a lot of racing still to go here, and this is the thing. Still a racing to come, and you've got when you got the mix of these cars, there is a lot of things that could go wrong. There's still a lot of things that can happen. So these guys, with these 80 minutes left on the clock, with 10 minutes in, of course, GTD's providing the action. We did expect it to come from there. We've had an issue for Mark Kudrowski, but we will have a look back at that towards the end of this race, of course, at the moment. But these three breaking away in the GTDs here, doing a fine job, and this is where most of the action's coming on from here. We do have Rob Tinsey, who is chasing down Mo Islam, but he's dropping away just a little bit, and unfortunately can't seem to get that closer gap coming down. In fact, it's gone the other way, which is a bit surprised about. One of the things I am going to be interested to see here, Alex, as well, what are these teammates going to do up here? How are they going to cope with this Lambo? If this Lambo jumps one of them, you know, the other one's going to be put under pressure, so it'd be interesting to see how the teammates get on as well.
Well, the thing is they're going to have to look at maybe 2 pit stops, because normally on a 60-minute we'll have 1 pit stop. So here you've got to really got to try and maximise your fuel window. Sometimes it's not always about getting the outright fastest lap of the race. It's about that consistency. Can you be within half a tenth? Can you be within a tenth of your best lap time of the race throughout a significant period? But with that, you need focus, concentration, and a lot of persistence, so as to not put yourself on the back foot.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? You know, it's early doors. You've got to really look at where you're at now and consolidate what you're doing, and just making sure that whatever you're doing correctly. Don't do it wrong. If you do it wrong, then you're in trouble, aren't you? You know, and this is what Davis, Ross, and Booth are going to learn very quickly here. Because if Davis has an issue, Ross is very close, and if Ross has an issue at the same time, you know, Booth is very close. So the one problem with Davis, he could end up taking the free out. Obviously, if he only overshoots the corner, the other guys, unless all of a sudden they've got tunnel vision, aren't going to go and follow him off, right? And we want to hope, to touch wood, as I smack my desk here, that they don't go and follow him off the grass. But I've done it. I've seen multiple people do it as well. They just get tunnel vision. The driver goes off. They go off behind him. Let's hope we don't get that. But they've just got to make sure they know where they're at in regards to that fuel. GTDs are running at 67%, 90% for LMP2s, 80% for GTPs. So it's going to be interesting to see the balance at the moment. How far can the GTDs go? Can they go for at least 45 minutes to split this race up into 2 and only have 1 stop? Or can they not, and they will have to take a 2? I'm very interested to see on that dynamic and see what happens. One of the things that will probably not guarantee, but will probably put my neck out and say the GTPs, being that they can go about 40 minutes, they might have to they're going to have 2 stops, because they're not going to get 40-80. They're going to be short at the end. So unless there's going to be some major fuel saving going on and trying to hold back, but 10 minutes is a long time, especially when they're doing 146. So they've got to save, what's that, probably 7-8 laps of fuel to be able to make it to the end here, and I just don't think that's going to be possible here in the GTPs. I think it's going to be 2 stops for the GTPs, possibly 1 at 45 minutes for the LMP2s if they can make it work and save a couple of laps. GTDs, well, that's going to vary, to be honest, between whether or not they're going to be able to go 45 minutes or whether or not it's going to be a 35-minute limit. But we get to watch and see how it pans out.
Exactly, we're running aboard with the race leader, Brandon Wilson from Hyperion Racing. They've been competing in a lot of other championships, including the Sim Racing Republic Sportscar Championship and the GT Open. And they've actually they've more of a prototype based team, if you will. But they've managed to go into GTDs, the GT3s quite convincingly. They've got some very good drivers. But as we ride on board with Brandon Wilson, we're going through into the hairpin. and then it's going to be on the power. And you're going to see the deployment from the combined 4-litre twin-turbo V8 engine and the hybrid assist. Now, the engine in this car was the very same engine that was used by BMW Motorsport in their return to the DTM back in 2012, and then they thought, well, it's a good enough engine. You know what, for GTP, we'll just bolt 2 turbochargers and a hybrid assist system and see what happens. And for Brandon Wilson, it's working out rather nicely.
Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to see how he got on stifling through traffic. I do love watching the lead GTP go through traffic first, because they're trying to maintain their gap. But there's not always a whole load of patience. Let's just put it that way. But Brandon Wilson at the moment doing a fine job, comes underneath there as well, gets that job. That's Oliveira in front of us next. We're going to move on, but we are going to catch a clump soon. 12th, 11th, 10th, 9th. They're all fighting it out. You can see on the left-hand side, Cass, Cunningham and Haley are fighting. Booth, Davis and Ross are fighting. So he's going to have to try and find a split somewhere here. Otherwise he could be a master of his own downfall and could end up taking somebody out of a lead of a GT3, or GTD, sorry. So let's see how they get on. He clears one here, Brandon Wilson. That was Robert Cass done. Carter Cunningham should go up the inside. That's that done. But now we're into the leaders. Let's see where he catches them. I can guarantee he's going to want to try and get down Gurney if he can. Get all 3 of them done by the end of the hairpin. But he is a little bit far back. So it could be on the run up into Collier. He might just be able to clear them all.
Yeah, and well, Brandon Wilson, when he was facing down Nathan Dowd for the race win at Bathurst, well, Brandon had 2 big incidents at Rock Skyline within about 10 minutes of each other, and then ended up going, well, that's it, my race is done and dusted. But you can hear that wonderfully sounding twin turbo V8, who's on the flashes already round the outside of Ross Booth, Nick Davis and Matthew Ross. There we go, straight through. And that, as you through at cutting the corner, he's there on the inside line, hits the brakes, through he goes. Now there's a lot of real estate that Brandon Wilson can play with and shoot off into the distance. Meantime, Nathan Dowd is coming to lap them as well. So within the first 15.5 minutes, good spatial awareness there by Ross Booth. Keeps out of the way. Nick Dave. Nathan Dowd. That was very, very close. That was coming through Bishop Ben and into Genderbean. He really, really chanced it in the Sector 5 Haley Agency Cadillac V-Series. But that just goes to show the absolute intestinal fortitude. That's also known as the 4-letter word starting with G and ending in S. Guts. Dowd just planted it there, had complete commitment, knew that the other guys would sort of try and go, well, we're not gonna ruin his race for the sake of ours. Yeah,
there's no point. There's no point. You've got an hour and 15 minutes. Let this GTP go through. He's going to run it down into turn number 1. That is, of course, Dorenberg. The through he goes. These 3 are going to reside their battle. I'm a little bit worried that they're not actually doing anything. They're just kind of following each other at the moment. The same with Carter Cunningham's following Bradley Haley. Obviously, he cleared Cast earlier on. Samuel Oliveira in behind him. Oliveira has got Vavroski tucked up right behind him as well. But I'll be interested to see what this man does. Swapped over, of course. It was in the LMP2, if I remember correctly, and I'm pretty sure I did remember correctly, in the LMP2 last season. You know, he's now sitting in the GTD. Fancied a bit of a change, I'm sure, so now he's going to go for it and see what goes on. But is he going to make this move over Bradley Haley? I'm a little bit worried that we're in that kind of I don't really want to go anywhere, just save fuel scenario, which basically puts it down to an F1 Grand Prix at Monaco, everybody, at the moment, because they're just following my leader, which sucks for us, because we want overtakes, we want action, we want sends, we want it big, you know, because that's what gets us excited. And if anybody hasn't watched the weekend's VWSC, I can suggest you go and check it out. But, you know, at the moment, we've just got this going on. And at the moment, Robert Cass is not really able to stay with the guys in front at the moment. He's losing time on every sector. You can see it underneath there. He's cutting us quicker in 1, quicker in 2, quicker in 3, quicker in 4. Not masses. I'm not talking, you know, seconds or tenths here. We are talking thousands, Alex. But the thousands all add up to the tenths. You know, it's like me having a quid in my pocket and then sticking a quid in every single day. By the end of the week or whatever, I might have £5. You know what I mean? And this is where it's going to be. If Cass doesn't start controlling this gap, he will just slowly drift back bit by bit, by bit, by bit. And then he's got Vavroski and Oliveira chasing him then. So, no offence, Robert, you kind of got to get on with it a little bit.
Well, the thing is that now that Haley and Kundiger are very, very close to each other, this gives the man in the who's
Yeah,
running
there we
under
go. It's
the
quicker.
Fury. Yeah, he's gone a little bit quicker now, so he probably heard you then. Well, it was about a tenth and a bit quicker, but the thing is that because Kundiger's trying to find a way past Haley, it's compromising the pair of them on lap times. So Robert Gaskins was able to run his own race and go, well, hang on a second. I don't necessarily need to go Billy-O straight in for it for the overtake because there's that strategy. With a 90-minute race, you're under more duress both physically and mentally. Your head's got to be on a swivel. You've got to keep an eye on your HUD. Rich Minkler now closing in on Chris Sherburn in the 007 Gone Broke racing car, which has got a new livery for this round of the series. So more to the point, these drivers are going to provide one heck of a show. And Rich Minkler, who we've seen at the sharper end of the GTD AM field in earlier rounds of the series, has not been able to get that Porsche 911 GT3R up to pace at the minute. He's struggling, it seems.
Yeah, I'm not shocked, to be honest with you. This circuit is not a Porsche-loving circuit. You know, there's some high-speed areas that it needs to go, and it can't go. That's the problem. You know, we know it's one of the lowest on the top speeds out of the cars at the moment in this GTD field, and doesn't quite have the oomph and the run down the Ullman, down through the final corner, down into the turn number one. You know, you need that pace down Gurney. You know, and all the way up into Collier, you need the pace of the car, and the Porsche just might not just have that pace, Alex. I think that's the problem. But see how he gets on here as well. But it could explain why both Porsches, including the one of green, is further down the bottom of the end of the field. I just don't think it's quite got the testicular fortitude to be able to stay with the cars in front.
Well put there, sir.
Thanks, mate.
Well, yeah, well, that's the politically correct version of saying something else where we just say cojones. But there we go. See, talking about speed differentials, closing speed ratios, Brandon Wilson has been topping out through the speed trap at 190 miles an hour at points on the circuit. And then you look at the top, the fastest of the GTDs, Michael Ross, 164 miles an hour, Nick Davis, 165. So you're talking a quite big differential at points, up to 30 miles an hour. Top speed trap differentials between our GTPs, as Sunset is definitely coming in very, very quickly. So we've just gone past 20 past 6 local sim time, and we are definitely going to be finishing under the night lights. As you can see, Brandon Wilson into Sunset Ben, 184 miles an hour, showing on the telemetry as he comes out of turn number 17. And nevertheless, even though he's got a 2.5 second...
Down nearly hit the wall. Stop.
I was just... No, don't worry. I just caught that, and I was like thinking, Nathan, don't go exit stage left, or not enough right hand down. But you can see in that Cadillac, you can see the undulation going through turn number 1, like the bumpiness, the back end. It's like a bit of it's like a yo-yo on a string, isn't it? It's like bumping here, bumping there, and with these aero-dependent GTP cars, they really are having to wrestle with the steering wheel. And that's not been easy. In the meantime, Ross Booth has got through on Nick Davis, and that is for P2 in the GTD division. So change has happened. We've got on board with Nick Davis. Is he going to go and put one up the inside of Booth going into turn 1? He's right in the wheel tracks. They're going to swing it left at high speed. And Booth holds the racing line, but that has allowed Michael Ross to get away to the tune of about a second as they head into turn 2. They have been very, very close indeed, but Ross Booth managing to use that Lamborghini Huracan's prowess to get through on Nick Davis for P2 in the GTD division. Kundiger is he's ahead of Bradley Haley now, so Carter Kundiger has got through for 4th place. And like you say, Rob Cast, he just seems to be struggling a little bit in that Aston Martin. It just does not have the traction capabilities, unlike the Mercedes and the Mustang in front of him.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? To be honest with you, he came in with a blaze of glory, but seems to have gone out with a damp fizzle, I think, at the moment as well. But Mercedes seems to be the car to take again. We've got, you know, three of them in the top 4 in the GTD class, and it does make you wonder whether or not the Mercedes is kind of on a comeback. It really does go through fits and starts, the Merc. There was another time as well, 6 months ago, probably 8 months ago, I think it was, that people were using the Mercedes quite a lot. Then it's come back round again. You know, it's like the mini skirt. You had it in the 60s, it comes back in the 90s, and it ain't no different to the Mercedes. I'm not saying the Mercedes is a mini skirt, of course, but you get the idea.
Yeah, it's sort of like it either goes in fashion, comes out of fashion. We have had our first retiree, that is Mark Kudrowski in the 00 Mustang.
Yeah, he hit the ball earlier. I'll show it at the end.
Yeah, so unfortunately for Mark Kudrowski, that is going to classify him at the bottom end, 7th position in the GTD AM side of things. And yeah, Mark Kudrowski, that's not exactly how he would have wanted. That will give him 24 points, basing it on the fact that this is a double points round, folks. So it is a win, 25 points. Double that, you get 50. So, and there's also the additional points for 0 incident points, fastest lap, and pole position in the respective classes. But 24.5 minutes in, it's been pretty clean so far, as we've always seen on particular circuits on the Autobahn. Sportscar Challenge here for season number 15, riding on board with the number 42 of GT Dynamics Robert Cast, who's running under the Fury Simsport banner for this series, but has recently joined the GT Dynamics crew, who are moving up the GT. Well, when it comes to these kind of sports cars, in terms of classification, they really are proving their worth in the sim racing world. But again, you can just see that Mustang and that Merc, 2 in front with Haley and Kundiger, they really have got a bit better traction. It just seems like the rear end of the Aston Martin over these undulating bumps seems to be that little bit imbalanced.
Yeah, absolutely. As well, I want to pick up on Robert Cast. He's quick, and this is the thing for this, but it's just not settling. It's really weird, because we'll say this, and these drivers will watch it back, and I'll get a DM that will go, "Oh, it's just fuel saving." And I'm like, right, okay. Thanks very much for that. You know, I did see that, and you went on and won the race, but you know, this is the thing. Are they fuel saving? Are they not fuel saving? Are they trying to go long? Do they know they can go 45 minutes? Can they hold it for the 45 minutes? What's the situation going to be, as Booth is having to go at Ross? But so there's still all to play for, I think, on this one, as the LMP2s are starting to come through traffic there in the background. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Caden manages this one. He's got all the way through to... That weren't good.
No, that was nearly a coronary on your side there, Mr. Parfitt.
He just looked like he was going to go and absolutely took the wrong way. He needed to go left, and he went right, and that was the problem. So unfortunately for Caden Richardson, it's going to have to go try and go good.
It's like you're sat there saying, make a U-turn when possible, and you're just like, no, I know where I am. You know, so you know you've got to go right rather than left. So Caden Richardson gets through on Bradley Haley, now has to dispense with Carter Kundiger. Not too far behind is Mo Islam in the 91. He's he's just 1 car behind. So again, Sebring is a circuit where patience is rewarded, and you can see that both him and both Mo Islam and Caden Richardson get through respectively on Carter Kundiger and Bradley Haley. But Mo, I know for a fact, wants to go for another victory this series. He's another one that's really impressed us here in the commentary box, because he's been ultra consistent, but then he's had some really, really bad luck. What he does not want to do, he's going around the outside. That's Brave going out of Bishop Ben and into Gender Bean, and Mo makes the move stick. But again, it's just that case of knowing where to place the car perfectly, and just making sure that you're not having that sense of desperation where you know that you really need to make this move, but it's a case of you're like 80% yes I can, and 20% goes no you can't. Meantime, GTD lead is closing up again, both closing in on Mike Ross for the race lead. as we are just under 2 minutes away from 1/3 of the race completed here for round 11 of the Autobahn Sportscar Challenge Season 15 and round 3 out of 4 for the Autobahn Endurance Cup here at Sebring International Raceway. So that Lamborghini, did you see how nearly sideways Mike Ross just got there in that Merc? He hit the wall at the curb, the back end went, yeah, I'm going to do a little samba dance for you.
Yeah, that's the thing. They need to be careful there with the Mercedes. You can't. He's a very loving car, you know what I mean? The Merc.
Yep.
The way I put it is, with the Mercedes, is you've got to Netflix and chill it. You can't take it out for a greasy burger and a clubbing night. You know what I mean? It needs to be gently played. Yeah, you got to sit it on the couch, get a nice bottle of red wine and chill it out, put on a sloppy chick flick. You know, you can't just turn around and go, here, love, have this. Let we go clubbing. Here's a red wine. Let's go bouncing. You know what I mean? It ain't going to work. You've got to be nice to it. Otherwise, it definitely will bring his rear end back round to the front of you. So just, you got to Netflix and chill the Merc. You can't slam that pedal down. One of the people that have looked like they are having a little bit of trouble is Davis in behind. He's lost a lot of time at the moment over the last lap, but I don't know if because of that reason he's lost it. But you can see the impact, the desperation of Kadeem Richardson, because he knows Islam is not very far away here. These two drivers should be able to clear these GTDs by the time they get down into Sunset. But you see there, Richardson just got a little bit desperate and sent it on them GTDs.
Yeah, whereas Mo Islam was definitely the personification of patience at that point. Just thought, okay, well, I'm gonna offset what Kadeem does. If Kadeem goes for the move, I'll wait and then go through when I see that gap, and it's easy enough for me to make. And now they are both 0.5 of a second apart as they go through. And look how close they are going through into turn 1, into the close to the wall, as they head into turn 2. And it's going to be up the gearbox again. Mo Islam really starting to put the pressure on Kadeem Richardson. And Richard Tinsey, I think he's just out for scoring points at the moment because he's 5.8 seconds behind the pairing of Richardson and Islam. As nightfall is very much here to stay here at Sebring, as we've gone past the half-hour mark. Still just under 60 minutes to go, but no one yet has blinked and come in for a first pit stop. So they might get away with one pit stop over the course of the race. But the big thing is the tyres. That's going to be the crucial thing because the track temperature is dropping. We are down to 24.4 degrees centigrade on the track, 22.2 degrees there, as now Ross Booth really putting the frighteners on Mike Ross for the race lead. Ross Booth himself has had quite a few victories in the Autobahn Sportscar Challenge, so it's no stranger to the class side of things, as Robert Tinsey is now approaching the back of Nick Davis as they come through Bishop into Genderbean and then into Lamont before they head down the Ullman Straight before turn 17 at Sunset Bend. But Ross Booth and Mike Ross, they have started to pull away from Nick Davis, and that gap is now a second.
Yeah, he's started opening it up a little bit now. Davis is going to have to try and politely get a wriggle on, as we said earlier on, with Robert Cast, who's dropped down. He's 8 tenths, lost a place to Haley. Haley's there, got him, and Cunningham is now in front. So it's going to be a bit more of an interesting battle, but these two going full bore at this moment in time. That Lamborghini, that Mercedes, they both try and drag the draft out of that at LMP2 there. I believe that was Rob Tinsey, it is. You can see these two settling behind him and think, nope, it's mine, it's mine, it's mine, it's mine. It's almost like the penguins out of Nemo, you know, mine, mine. Bang. And it's nobody's, because nobody could get there. The interesting thing I am going to look at is how did Nathan Dow close that gap down to Wilson, and he's now only less than half a second away.
You mean the seagulls?
Yeah. What did I say? Penguins. Seagulls. Yeah, that's the way where they go. Mine. It's all right. Yeah, it's yours. But yeah, so interesting to see how Dow gets on here.
Yeah, because that will be down to back market traffic. Look at the last lap. He closed 6 tenths of a second on Brandon Wilson. Looks like we've also had a problem for Ryan Wyszlewski, as he is out after just over 12 laps. So this is the battle for the overall race lead. With 57 minutes on the time and left to go, they have got Nick Davis just in front of them in the GTD division. along with Booth and Ross. This is going to be coming out through Tower Turn now. And then it's the run down through into Bishop. And this is where you've got to play your cards right a little bit. And Brandon Wilson absolutely pulled ball around the outside. And then Nathan Down came from absolutely nowhere on that one.
Yeah, I thought there was going to be a drama, but he managed to get the car stopped, which is always good, of that Cadillac. But yeah, it was very, very close there. These guys following each other 56 meters. You can see the GTD lead in behind them. You can see Ross Booth there just go, no, I'm not going to follow you across track, Michael. You want to run all the way over there? That's down to you. I'm just going to tuck in behind you and see if I can make sure I get this exit at this final corner. He's going to take that left-hand side bump. Now he's going to try and get the run down into turn number one. Is he going to be able to manage it here? That Lamborghini, Tinsley's in pit lane. Lambo, nope, not this time around for him. He's going to try and go one more time.
Yep, so Robert Tinsley being the first one to pull the trigger in terms of the pit stops here at Sebring. But as nightfall starts to deepen here at the Floridian circuit, Ross Booth is not letting Michael Ross breathe by any stretch of the imagination. They have been literally within, I think over the last 5 laps, within half a second of each other. So you can see that the consistency on the lap times is coming from the Lamborghini in second position. But Ross has also been pretty much matching Booth on lap time. Last time around, it was a 158. It was a 58.746 for Ross, 58.766 for Booth in second position. Nick Davis, however, is starting to wind up the wick on his number 17 Mercedes. He just did a 58.623.
Yeah, great lap times from these guys. Anything under 2 minutes, 2:01, you're on a bit of a flyer in the GTDs, to be blatantly honest with you. There's a lot of people who would love to get a 2:01, you know, under a 2 minutes. I can get down to a 2:01. I can't get any further down than that in the GTDs. I do end up getting really badly struggling to try and find these extra few seconds to bring me into that 159, 158 mark. So, you know, these guys are doing an exceptional job at this moment in time, and Booth doing an amazing job just following Ross as well. Mo Islam peeled off pit lane, decided enough is enough. I'm going in, but it's the front of the GTDs that's kind of giving us the action. Nathan Dowd's dived into pit lane as well. Minkler's having a battle with Sherborne. That's a little bit further back. See how these guys are getting on here. Minkler in that Porsche, Sherborne in the Acura, of course, and these guys chasing down the Porsche Dale Green. But I think this is helped by the fact that De Oliveira, Hunter, and Slavonic have gone into pit lane.
Yeah, they basically pitted not that long ago, as the night time is getting deeper and deeper set in here at Sebring. Rich Minkler in the 908, Porsche 992 GT3R, not the Evo. Obviously, we'll be waiting to see whether that comes out on iRacing, because they have updated the Cup cars, as Ross, Haley and Kundiger from GTD have now pitted, which means Ross Booth becomes the new race leader in the GTDs. Dale Green is the leader now, as you rightly said, after De Oliveira coming in, along with Hunter and Slavonic. Minkler now comes into pit lane.
So what's that? So 37 minutes for the GT.
That'll be 2 pit stops for GTD
and LMP2 and GTPs. They've all got to make 2.
Yeah.
So yeah, everybody's got to make 2. Here, as we jump on board with Shane Hunter, battling away with Samuel De Oliveira, of course, in the same group here. De Oliveira right down was leading the field, now dropped down the order due to going into pit lane, and it's a double Mustang fight currently at the moment. This should suit the Mustang. I was talking about this on Friday, and you know, with the long, speedy straights that it's got, it hasn't got, the thing for me with Sebring, although it has got corners, it hasn't really got the likes of some of the other tracks that have got a bit harder corners to kind of deal with, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. This has got nice sort of easy flowing corners for this Mustang, and it should really be a Mustang circuit. I wouldn't be surprised if after the pit stops, De Oliveira and Hunter are at the top of the group, to be honest with you.
I think also you've got to look at the tracks coming up. I mean, Hockenheim, that has quite a lot of straight line speed, so that'll suit the Mustangs, along with Spa for the final round of the series on April the 13th. These cars will be absolutely dynamite when you get them around a corner, point them in a straight line, and boot the throttle, and you get that traction. And that's the biggest thing about the Coyote V8. It's an engine that's been a part of Ford folklore for many, many a year, and obviously with the GTD development, they decided to throw the engines over to the Ford World Rally team, Cockermouth in the west, down down in the West Country.
Mm.
Well, down in actually, no, Cockermouth, which is based, I think, Cumbria way. The team led by Malcolm Wilson actually bored the engine out from 5 litres to 5.4 to give it that extra little bit of bore, stroke, and compression. And that's where they were able to find that additional displacement and power that really has made the Ford Mustang GTD a real tour de force, not just over in American sports cars, but also globally when it comes to GT3s in their true spec. So that's why we're seeing a great battle here. Green and Sherburne now in the pits. Oliveira retakes the race lead as they will complete lap number 19 here at Sebring. And Brandon Wilson, 22 laps in the books, 50 minutes and 45 seconds to go. The Hyperion Racing BMW MV8 Hybrid pits from the overall race lead.
Yeah, he can go in, pit, come back out, to be honest. Pit lane time's around about 57 seconds. He's got a big old gap at him. You can see up above your screen, Wilson, Richardson, Cunningham, Oliveira leading their classes. We've got 3 GTPs, 3 LMP2s, 8 GTDs, and 7 GTD AMs on the racetrack at the moment. So the GTDs really kind of dominating this field. Nick Davis, however, got Ross right in front of him. Now, obviously for Davis, he was closer now than he was before the pit stops. We saw him drop back, I think it was like 1.2 seconds, something bonkers along them lines. He's now managed to get himself back. Nobody could get past Booth, however, in the Lamborghini. He's still out in front, and they all have pitted. Everybody in the field has pitted, just waiting for Wilson, who's just lost that lead to Dowd. And Dowd has got the lead in the GTP, which is quite interesting. And Wilson is actually going to come out behind. That's an LMP2. I believe that might be Islam. It is. But yeah, Wilson lost a lot of time. He had a 106.1 pit lane time. I'm guessing there might have been tyres involved there for Brandon Wilson. If there wasn't, then he's been a naughty boy and got himself a stop-go.
Well, he did. Yeah, he didn't have a stop go. 35.1 seconds on his marks in the pit stall. Nathan Dowd 26.89. So that says to me, I think Brandon might have taken on at least 2 tyres, maybe a full set, because you can fuel and get all 4 tyres done within that window. So I think what Brandon's wanting to do is maximise performance around here at Sebring, because he's got Kadin Richardson in front of him at the moment. So it just goes to show that sometimes, as I said, with the abrasives, the track surface variation here at Sebring, some cars, they can be very, very compliant with degradation. Some cars, like the BMW MV8 Hybrid, can be that little bit more aggressive on their tyres. And considering the fact that he was absolutely going hell for leather and he's going to do exactly the same here, I mean, that gap has got up to 6.4 seconds. But now this is the real test for the drivers. We're nearly halfway through this 90-minute encounter here for round 11, and nightfall is here. So your braking markers change, your spatial awareness changes. You've got to be very, very committed on your overtakes, as we see there. Wilson through on Richardson before Sunset Bend makes the move stick, and then Richardson catches him coming through Sunset Bend. So it's a case with Wilson, because you've got to wait a little bit more to try and get that traction down through Sunset Bend. The LMP2s are that little bit more sprightly on the inside line.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just trying to find out specifically from the team of Wilson whether or not there was any drama. I'm just waiting for them to get back to me, and we'll find out, try and bring you up to date what actually did happen as well. The question was asked, was it tyres? But we're going to find out here once again. But Ross still pressurising Booth. That Lambo still out here. Well, hold on. We've got Cunningham somehow jumped to the lead here.
Well, Carter, okay, right. Carter Cunningham, he only put 19.5 seconds worth of fuel in the car. Ross Booth, 28.9. Michael Ross, 28.2. Nick Davis, 29.2. So Carter Cunningham, I think, might have short fueled for an undercut strategy to put himself into the race lead.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. The only thing I am also wondering is this his short middle stint?
Mm.
But then he's going to have to go longer on the last one. So I don't know. I can see the idea, but is it going to work? I get what he's trying to do, but I just don't know if it's going to work. I just don't know if it's going to be that strong.
Depends on how confident he is doing the lift and coasting in the Mercedes, because it's not going to be easy with a 6.2 litre naturally aspirated V8. The more lifting and coasting you do, the more lift you do, okay, fine. You've got a pretty beefy engine underneath the snout of that car. Then when you go to accelerate out of the corner, if you've done a bit of lifting and coasting, you've got to wait even longer to accelerate out of the corners in order to maximise your traction through it. So it's always dependent on what the driver may have planned strategically, and sometimes there's always a plan A involved. You can plan to the hilt, then you always sometimes have to instigate plan B, plan C, or plan D if you've got those plans in place. But look at that shot there, going through into Bishop Bend. Michael Ross, sparks flying from the rear diffuser of that Mercedes-Benz as he is really on the rear of Ross Booth as they come out of Le Mans and down Almond Straight one more time. They're currently on lap 22 of the race, whereas the leader at the moment, Nathan Dowd, has opened up an extended gap of 8.9 seconds over Brandon Wilson. Now, the thing is that if Nathan Dowd decides not to take tyres in both stints, Brandon Wilson will be at an advantage.
Absolutely. He will be. He will be able to do that as well. But the question is will Dowd be able to hold on? 8.7 seconds is a long time. You know what I mean? It's a long time in motorsport, mate, and we both know that. But what's the situation going to be toward the end of this? Is Dowd going to drop off and plummet like a stone? And is Wilson going to come through and take the lead? Or is it all going to change on the last stop? Is Dowd going to take tyres? Wilson's going to then already have tyres, not take tyres. You know what I mean? There's so many games. I feel like I'm playing Cluedo.
Oh yeah, the who did it? The vicar in the kitchen with the knife.
Yeah, Mrs. Plum with a candlestick in the study.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like I'm trying to play here as well. You know what I mean? Oh, who's the other guy though? Hercule Poirot. Feel a bit like a detective trying to figure this one out.
Well, as long as it's not Inspector Clouseau saying we must find that woman.
Is that a Pink Panther, is it?
A Pink Panther, yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm sure it's not that. But I'm a little bit more Taggart than, to be honest, than that. To be, you know.
It's been a murder.
Yeah, been a murder. Anyway, back as me and Alex reminiscing in our growing up days of watching our mum look.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that.
Miss Marple and Murder, She Wrote and all the other jazzy programs that come out in one foul swoop in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
We're going to try and figure out this. They're all getting a little bit more spread out. Minkler and Sherborne. I'm going to go down there because these guys seem to be following each other. Minkler and Sherborne, they've been stuck together like Velcro for the whole of this race. And unfortunately for Minkler, he's the one in the back end behind him. He's been staring at the back there. Oh, that's a bit of an horrible shot. He's been staring at the back of Sherborne's Acura for quite a while, and could probably read out what that sticker says under the right-hand side light as we're looking at the car there. And where the 007 is on the left, there's a sticker. I've been trying to read it for ages.
It's probably well, he does run under the team name Gone Broke Racing, so that could be it.
Oh,
you never know.
I thought it was going to be something exciting, like a slogan of some sorts.
Yeah, maybe.
You know what I mean? But you might be right, to be blatantly honest. I wish this Porsche could get. It almost likes to need a hold of stick of dynamite and get on with it. You know what I mean? It struggles so much on long, high-speed straights. Like, no, got nothing.
It's like someone swinging a black cat around a very, very ever-decreasing room, and you can hear the cat going in the background.
Yeah,
that's what it kind of sounds like.
Yeah, it whistles well in sixth gear. You think you're going fast, and then you realise you are one of the slowest GTDs on the circuit. To be honest,
but I think in some respects, the rev range that the Porsches have. I mean, they rev to like 8,500 RPM. So there's no respite in the amount of noise that comes from the twin tailpipes on the back end of that car. But I think it's as you say, at a circuit where handling is going to be quite crucial. You look at the next three tracks we've got coming up. Hockenheim, Porsches are known to be pretty good round there. Aragon, not 100% sure because that's more of a MotoGP circuit. And then at Spa, you want that compliance through high and mid-speed corners, and the Porsches have been pretty good for that in years past.
The only thing that might save him at Spa could be the draft, to be honest.
Yes.
Hockenheim, not so much. Oh, there you go.
Oh no, Winkler's lost it coming out of Tower Turn.
And you know what's really hard as well to sit and watch about that? He's probably done that corner the same way for the last 40 minutes, if not longer. And then all of a sudden, the Porsche just says, yeah, I've had enough now of doing what you want. I'm going to do whatever I want. That's the only problem with this Porsche in this series, in this sim. It just wants to kill you. It will literally terminate you just as looking at you because you've done the same thing for 28 laps like we have. And then he goes to do the same thing on lap 29 and it just goes, nah, not doing this. And spins his bum round. It's bonkers.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like saying Porsche doing Porsche things, which is one of the old adages. I still remember when I first joined the team here at JPB, and we had that Porsche Cup series, didn't we?
Yeah.
The amount of times and that was with the old 992.1 GT3 Cup car, and now what I like about the fact of what Porsche have done with regards to the new 992.2 gen car is that they've taken away the GT3 so people don't get confused anymore.
Yeah, I think
Carrera Cup cars.
I think the hardest thing for me to look at when you look at a Porsche is you always know what they're going to be. That you always know what they're going to look like. There isn't a variance of a Porsche that doesn't look like a Porsche. You know what I mean? There's the odd variances of the Ferraris, there's the variances of the Lambo. Look at the Gallardo, look at the Aventador, look at the Hurricane. They all different. But a Porsche is just a Porsche. It looks like a Porsche. And it will always just be a Porsche. It won't be anything fancy like the new Tamarero's come out of the Lamborghini. Looks absolutely flat out amazing. The upgraded version almost of the Huracan. The Gallardo, that little short stubbiness. The Ventador looked incredible. Even this Merc looks absolutely amazing. And the next Merc will probably look amazing. But the Porsche will always just be a Porsche. It will always look the same. It won't change. It's like you just take a copy and paste and go, I know it's not a 993 now. We're going to call it a 993.021 and we're going to change the wing inlets on the end just a little bit. But it still looks like a Porsche. Do you know what I mean? You can recognize a Porsche if you get what I mean, where I'm going with that. It kind of almost needs, I'm not saying a radical overhaul. I'm not saying come away from the Porsche heritage. You don't want to do that. But just do something with it. I don't know. Make it, I don't know. What was the Porsche that geezer out of Fast and Furious decided to wrap around a tree? What was it he had?
It was a Porsche Carrera GT. And that was with Paul Walker being in the passenger side of the car, not somebody else who was driving it.
Yeah, and even that just looks like a Porsche. They're all the same, aren't they?
Well, Porsche's always been known for evolution, not revolution, unlike other cars where you see, like, say, BMW, when we had the GTEs back in the day, you had the big beast, the M8.
Yeah.
And then they went to the M6. Then what BMW then decided to do, okay, well, we can't use the M8, we'll use the M6 for GT3. And then they went to the M4, which is now, so there's been different changes and different evolutions of a coupe. But then, Porsche has always been one of these marks that, when you think about how long the 911 has been around for, it's been around for a long, long time. But yeah, Porsches, there is that integrated DNA. Doesn't matter whether it's a 911, a 918, a Cayman, a Macan, a Boxer or a Cayman, which unfortunately the 718s are going out. They've stopped producing them now at Porsche as of late last year because the new EV version was coming through, and then a new guy came in charge at Porsche and went, "How much was you spent on this new electric version?" And I found out what the value was. I was like, oh my giddy aunt. But still, nevertheless, I mean, the 911 is still it's a car that a lot of people love to drive. I think it's mainly for the legend status, the historical value of getting to drive a Porsche 911.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry.
That's the petrol head of me talking. That's the petrol head of me talking.
Yeah, it might be that, and it might be, oh, look, I'm in a Porsche, but then you look at a Gallardo and a Aventador, and you just sit back and go, oh, you know what I mean? Even the Tamarero, you even at times you look at the Mustang from Ford or the Acura, and you just think some of them look amazing, and then you go, I've got this high whistling machine that's got about as much poke as Del Boy's Robin Reliant down the North Bypass. It's just, no, you need to give me more out of it. And you know, I'm sat here and I just Googled the variations of Porsche, and nothing's changed. it's just the same car, little bit of a different kit on it, little bit of a different wing, and that's basically all that I found on that. But you know, let us know in the comment section if you watch it back and you're at him going, oh, Porsche's the man's, whatever. You know, the Porsche Boxer, let's be real, was the poor man's Porsche, and that's what they labelled it. And you know, that's the thing. Will always just be a Porsche. It won't be anything that we're going to sit here, you know, and talk and go, oh, the new Tamarero from Lambo looks amazing. The Aventador was incredible. The Gallardo was awesome. The Mustang look at that beast. It looks mental. The M8 come out, BMW, looks amazing. We won't do that because it is just a Porsche.
And at the end of this, what can we conclude? Myself and James can agree to disagree and have a fairly decent conversation about it.
Yes, it's funny how we just can listen to each other's opinions and go, okay, I'll take it on board and we're going to move on. One of the things I am actually a little bit worried about here as well is we've got a little bit of a spread. The only thing that I've been catching up with while we've been having my Porsche debate, by the way, if you want to join in down below in the comment section after this. Ross Booth has pulled a lot of time out of Carter Cunningham. It was about 8.5 seconds, but you can physically see now that it's down to 1.6. The problem with Booth is he's not coming on his own. He's got Ross as his right-hand man helping him out here by not challenging him and making Booth be able to do that final push, that final shoot almost forward into Cunningham. So, yeah, we'll keep an eye on this gap, but it is coming down there.
Yeah, we've got 33 minutes and 50 seconds left to go. And, well, Carter Cunningham still continues to lead. But like you say, I think Ross Booth has, last time around, he took nearly 1.5 seconds out of him. So that Lamborghini is definitely firing on all 10 cylinders at the moment. So they come out of the final corner. They're going to complete their 28th lap of the 3.45 mile 17-turn circuit here at Sebring. So that gap is coming down, and Booth is bringing around, along Mike Ross for the to the party. They do say that two's company, and if those two in second and third get closer to Carter Cunningham, it will be three's a crowd. Also, battle for GTD AM is closing in. Samuel De Oliveira and Shane Hunter, they pretty much have been stuck together like glue, the two Mustangs in the 522 and the 927. And they're not that far behind. These drivers are at the sharp end of the field of the GTD field overall. But, yeah, again, I think it's just like, that's one of the things I love about night racing, JP. As soon as everyone turns in, they've been on the brakes for a certain amount of time, you see those front brake discs glow bright, scalding red.
It looks absolutely amazing, doesn't it? Driving, this is the thing for me when you're doing endurance racing, is if you've been out on a track and you've gone day to night, it's a lot easier than doing day, coming out of the car, then going in and doing night, because everything's adjusted, everything's changed, your eyes have changed, everything, you know, your carrots ain't got to kick in, you got to top them up a little bit, you know, because my mum always says if I eat enough carrots I'll be able to see in the dark like a rabbit. But you know, a lot of things change, and this could be why Booth is a lot more comfortable with Gunninger and the darts playing games and stuff like that, or did the fact of Gunninger's 10-second pit stop that, you know, he lost a lot of time in the first stint almost, saving that pit stop by being 10 seconds slower. Did he really make a difference to his race, or should he have just taken it like everybody else? Because like now, had to peel into the pits with 31 minutes to go. There we go. Cunningham in pit lane. We still got Alex. Alex, you still here, buddy?
Yeah, I'm still here. Don't worry about that. I forgot to unmute my button on the top of my headset. Sorry.
I was going to say, I thought you were sleeping and left me out to.
No.
I'm sitting there waiting, and I thought, well, I better start talking again just in case he's fallen asleep. I don't know. Hey, it could happen. Could happen.
Could happen.
Yeah, but I suppose we're watching Monaco in F1 on a Sunday afternoon after me roast dinner.
To be honest with you, I haven't watched any Formula One at all since the season got underway.
No, I watched the highlights in Adelaide, Australia. It is Adelaide, isn't it? Yeah, Adelaide. Melbourne, sorry, yeah. And I haven't watched the Chinese one, although we mentioned it yesterday, and I said, look, please no F1 spoilers, I'm going to watch it. Do you know what I actually did? I left went up in the bed, put the TV on. Me and the missus started watching this Person of Interest on Netflix. Really good program, by the way. And then I fell asleep. And that was the end of that. So I haven't actually watched this weekend's just gone Grand Prix either. If you are wondering why we're talking about the Grand Prix, but this race was 2 weeks ago, we had some issues with poor old Chris, who had a pipe burst in his house and smothered his house in water. And unfortunately, I've had an issue with a PC that's had to rely on a new graphics card that didn't turn up till yesterday.
I've been down with allergy.
Alex has been down with allergy, so we've been a bit under the weather up here in JPB. So hopefully we've got past the Friday the 13th germs and the Friday the 14th dramas and the Friday the 13th technical issues, and you're getting this on a Monday evening. So yeah, much love to you for watching. Say if you are watching it back, don't forget like, subscribe, turn on the bells. And after all, join us in our Porsche debate. Which one would you have? Do you think a Porsche, a Lambo, or a Ferrari? If so, which version of them cars would you have there as well? Alex, Jaguar XJ220, what do you reckon?
No. If you said to me...
No.
No. And I'll tell you for why. That was definitely a car that was not on my poster wall. Mine was the good old Ferrari F40.
Oh, I'll give you that. The F40 was amazing.
The biggest problem that I have with the Jaguar XJ220, it was hyped up so much, and then all of a sudden it came out, and there were so many problems with it.
Oh, yeah, but look at the GT40. Dude, Clarkson had one, didn't he? And he didn't even drive it barely 12 miles without it kept breaking down.
Yeah, but I think for me personally, you know, we're talking like Ferrari F40, Lamborghini Countach, the original, not the one based on the Aventador.
No, the Countach looked absolutely amazing.
Other cars of that era, Ferrari Testarossa.
Lotus had one as well, didn't they?
Huh?
Didn't Lotus have one? The Esprit? The
Esprit. Oh, yes. Which was made popular by Roger Moore under his tenure with two different generations. One of which was the White Submarine in one of the Bond films, and the other one where he had that deep sort of red with gold pinstripes, and it had the BBS split alloy wheels on it for the ski rack when he went into the Alps. Yeah, the Lotus Esprit was a. I still remember when they did the Esprit V8 in the mid-90s, and it sounded great.
Yeah, absolutely. It did look amazing. Looks awesome as well. And they've got one down where we are. We got obviously Haynes Motor Museum. And they got an XJ220 in there as well. It looks amazing. But here we go. A little bit of a trivia while we are coming into this latter stages where they are just kind of trying to catch up and follow each other. Who drove the Ferrari 308 GTS? TV character.
Even as in... Oh, Magnum PI, Tom Selleck.
Absolutely. That was an awesome car as well.
Mustache in the 80s.
Absolutely. I do agree. But the Ferrari Testarossa was a car as well, wasn't it?
Yeah,
But
yeah, that was quite a lot of history between. You know, if you want to Google it on YouTube and find out about, because they used to have a Ferrari 356 Daytona Cabriolet, which was not actually a Ferrari. It was used by Don Johnson in the Miami Vice side of things. But then look up the history about the Ferrari Testarossa, because they had one hero car, and then everything else was not exactly as it seemed.
The thing with the Testarossa as well, there was obviously the original cars. Now I'm just looking at prices. One with a Testarossa with 1992 Ferrari 4.9, under 8,000 miles, is still going for 189,950. Whereas if you go further forward, 2010 Ferrari California 4.3 with 23,000 miles on the clock is going for only 62,500. So you've got a massive ditch there between cars that you know that are going to be awesome and they look amazing, to some of the newer ones like the California. Is it something that people want? The Ferrari 360 Spider, you know, the GTC 4 Lusso. There's lots of variances, but you turn around and go to somebody, if you turn around to somebody and went, what's the California 4.3 2010 in red? They're not going to be able to turn around and say it's a Ferrari. You go to somebody and say, what's a Testarossa 4.9 from 1992? They'll be like, that's a Ferrari. Because it is just an iconic name.
I mean, it's just like when I was said about Ferrari F40. I've just been looking myself. There's one that's from 1992. The engine in the Ferrari F40 was a 2.9 litre twin-turbo V8. This particular edition has done 24,000 miles, and it's up for 2.5 million nicker.
Nuts, isn't it?
So you know, but it's a car that is legendary. And funny enough, it was one of the cars that was given to Nigel Mansell when he was the last driver selected by Enzo Ferrari to race for the Scuderia in Formula One before he passed away.
Pit lane's just starting to fill up once again for their second stop as well. Talking about your 2.5 nigger, I'm looking at a Ferrari F40 with 9,900 miles on it, and it's 3.1 million. So there we go. Yeah. Pit stop, second stop, 24 minutes. It should start bringing people together. Casti's having such a horrible time at the moment. He's been caught by Trevor Vorosky, who is up 10 places, who started right near the back of the grid. So he's doing a great job at the moment. It'll come out of our reminiscing, me and Alex dreaming of owning a 40 at 3 million. If anybody wants to start a GoFundMe page, I'm sure we will not turn it down. If we can get enough donations, I can almost get one with 7,580 miles on it from the Netherlands. 3.3 million. So if you can start that GoFundMe, I'm sure me and Alex will take it in turns over the weekend to see who's going to drive it next.
We'll be flipping a coin, won't we?
No, we'll just go that whole me, you. I don't want to fight about it, Alex. If I'm spending 3.3 million pound on it, you know what I mean? I ain't flipping a coin and missing out on my weekend, mate. We're taking it in turns, son.
Exactly. There we go. Right. Nathan Dowd's last. Right. Okay. Nathan Dowd's last pit time was 22.5 seconds. So that says to be possibly no tyres may be taken. I'm not 100% sure.
I would agree that is probably what we're looking at here. Let's see what Brown and Wilson does. Let's see if we can get a pit stop. Look at him. It is dark. It's quite hard to see. Is he going to peel in? No, he ain't. What about Dominic Dornberg? He's nowhere near the pits, unfortunately. Wilson goes over the line and starts another lap. Caden Richardson, I don't think he took tyres either. He was very, very short there. What about Trevor Vorosky? He's at his marks. He's not going anywhere. Is he going up? No, he's on his way as well. I don't think tyres could be the way to go here. See what Ross Booth and Michael Ross do and go from there. But yeah, going to be very interesting second run here. See what Brandon Wilson does. It could be the fact, Alex, that these two could come out, Brandon Wilson and Nathan Dowd could come out neck and neck.
Yeah, but when you consider the fact that Brandon went on to do 22 laps on his first stint, so, and he was, I think, the last two, I think with the pace that he's showing, you know, his last lap was a 46.2, and that was only 0.16 of a second off of his fastest lap of the race. So I think the thing is that Brandon Wilson, I would imagine, I don't think he needs to take tyres on his final pit stop. All he needs to do is be a lot quicker in the pit stop phase in comparison with Nathan Dowd, because the minute he does that, if he has, if he's in there for less than 20 seconds, he should come out in front, depending on how long the transfer time is from pit entry into pit exit, as he's going to be on the flashers now. He's coming down Almond Straight and heading into turn 17 here at Sunset Bend with just over 21.5 minutes to go. And that looks like a traditional racing line taken, but he is going to be, I think, looks like he might be not driving right. No, not peeling in. So 146.7. So Brandon has been consistently keeping himself in the 146s, 148s. Robert Casters has dived into pit lane with 21 minutes to go.
Interesting to see what that does. Gain up.
No. Wondering.
Just fuel.
Yeah. 16.1 seconds. And here comes Varosky and Cunningham.
Yeah, Varosky jumped Cunningham in the pits.
Yeah. Yeah, Varosky, well, he was 5.8 seconds quicker in the pit lane with regards to refueling. So Cundigan's got to try and get through on him very, very quickly indeed. But as you said, Varosky has been the person that has gained the most places in this race so far. But we are heading down to the final 20 minutes of round 11 of the series, and also round 3 of the Autobahn Endurance Cup here at Sebring. Thanks to everyone that has been watching along with us, and obviously keep the debate going about the Porsche chat. I want to hear what you have to say.
Just a Porsche. I do wonder, Alex, right? I wonder if that's why people just sit back and go, you're in a Porsche, so what? You know what I mean? It's Cunningham, it's having a go at Varosky. Varosky made that very, very easy. Very, very easy. In fact, it even looked like he pulled over and allowed Cunningham to go through there, which I'm quite surprised about on that one. You know, when people go, oh, I drive a Porsche, you go, yeah, cool. I haven't changed for 30 years or 40 years. Oh, but anyway, I'm going to go and get in my Lamborghini Aventador.
Oh, I know you got a little bit of a penchant for the Temerario anyway, because you saw it.
Dude, I did see it at Goodwood.
All I can say is we were having this chat the other day, the collective amount of men moment, including James Parfitt at the same time when that car was revealed, must have flooded Goodwood at some point.
Dude, I think, you know what I mean? There was a lot of people in trouble that day, I can tell you that much, because it was just unbelievable. The reveal looked incredible on that one. I'm hoping to try and get up Goodwood this year, but no, maybe I might not be able to. I know the tickets have been sparse, few and far between.
They always are.
Yeah,
they always are. Whenever they release their dates, it's always like a mad rush.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. In the meantime, pit lane activity for GTD AM, Oliveira and Slavonic are in.
Yep.
So this is probably going to, excuse me, maybe give the opportunity to give Chris Sherburn an opportunity to be at the sharp end of the field. But bearing in mind, he has not yet taken his second pit stop, neither has Rich Winkler in the 908 Porsche. So, and this is what I love about Sebring. When we go under nightfall, the race takes on a different allure all itself.
Yeah, absolutely. The problem is that the overlay would find it impossible to try and know who's in what car. But at the moment, we're on board with Varosky. He's got Cunningham in front. These two have pitted their second stop. Now, the reason I say that, Robert Cast is also taking his second stop as well. But it's Haley, Davis, Ross and Booth that have not taken their second stops, and whether or not they can here. I'm going to be interested to see what goes on in this race, because, yeah, I think sometimes it might change around a little bit.
Yeah, I think you could be right there, because we are just over 17 minutes to go. And bearing in mind, Booth pitted on lap 19, so did Davis. Haley and Ross pitted on lap 18. So give or take, you're looking at lap 36, 37. And we're actually on lap 37 for Booth, Ross, Davis and Haley. So depending on how quickly they get their pit stop sorted, Robert Cast only fueled for 16.1 seconds. So, and he is he's about 50 seconds behind Ross Booth, who's in the lead of the GTDs at the minute. So depending on how long the top four are going to be able to extend that fuel window will depend on how that changes the dynamic for the GTD side of things, I think.
Yeah, but that's the thing. See where they all end up, whether or not they're going to be able to hold on to that front row as well. It'd be interesting to see what Wilson does. That is not Wilson that's gone through. That's Dominic Dorenberg. Wilson is still out on track. Where is he? He's on his way around the final corner. Gonna hug the wall and dive in. No, goes on again. Brown and Wilson. So he's
I think he's probably got another 3 laps maybe at tops.
You reckon?
Well, he pitted on lap 22, and he's now on lap 42. So this and 2 more laps, that puts him at 44 laps total. Total times that he's run around the circuit. So I did say it was going to be a case of how hot. And the thing is that Brandon Wilson has really opened up that lead. This last time around, he was over 8 tenths quicker than Nathan Dowd, and Dowd hasn't gotten in anywhere near him. He's only led the race for a handful of laps before he came in for his second pit stop, and that was on lap 36. And Nathan Dowd is about to come and complete what will have been his 5th lap of this stint on lap 41. So I think Brandon Wilson is absolutely wringing the neck of this BMW MV8 hybrid, and to get it as close to the end as he can, maybe if he can get a pit stop within 15 to 18 seconds, I would say, possibly of fuel. He might not even need to put that amount of fuel in the car. Meantime, Nick Davis and Bradley Haley have pitted. Nick Davis is out, 16 seconds worth of fuel. Bradley Haley still fueling at the moment, and it's just come out. 14.5 seconds for Bradley Haley, and he's tumbled behind Cast, Kundiger, and Vavrock.
Yeah, but I think Haley, is he going to be able to recover this? I'm interested to see Sherborne as well, because Sherborne hasn't taken his second. He's ahead of De Oliveira, not by masses, unfortunately. I've got a funny feeling Sherborne's going to end up back down with Minkler in that Acura battle, because they've been going at each other for a while. Carter Cunningham is slowly pulling in Vavroski with him, but they're also getting that Aston Martin, and they're bringing that Aston Martin down closer to them as well, with 14 minutes to go. So this could be, if Cast isn't careful, could end up dropping maybe even below Vavroski here if both of them get him.
Could be the case, but I think it's more that point of, let's wait and see what happens.
I think you might be right. I'm just putting it out there as a story, just in case it actually does happen. So.
And Booth has just come into the pits as well, as we've been saying that. So Ross Booth in GTD lead is in pit lane. He's about 5 seconds of the way through his refueling. So how much is that going to bring Ross, Davis, Cast, Cunningham towards him? As Ross Booth, 13.3 seconds. He is making his way out of pit lane, and that will keep the Lamborghini Huracan GT3 in the class lead, running 7th overall. And there is the FAF Motorsports Special Edition, Michael Ross in the very pretty in pink Mercedes-Benz, rounding out the
he did him by
second place.
He did him by a country mile. Sorry, Alex, I got a little bit excited. He did him by a long old gap, 5.2 seconds.
Yeah, and he was 1.25 seconds quicker fueling the Lamborghini in the pit lane. So
yeah, but it was also 3 seconds on the pit lane time. That's 4.5 seconds. So yeah, that's
a big old margin.
Yeah, that's roughly where he is. Right here.
Wilson's in.
Yeah. Oh, down is a long way though.
No, I don't think he'll make it.
Not even out of gender beam yet, is he?
No, not yet. No, he's coming through Le Mans now. So this has got to be an ultra quick pit stop for Brandon Wilson. Stops on his marks. Fuel nozzle goes in. 5 seconds. And at the minute, well, Nathan Dowd making his way down through Sunset Bend, 12.1 seconds. That is going to be more than enough for Brandon Wilson.
He gets on his bike.
Yeah, there we go. He's made it out in the race lead with 11 3/4 minutes left to go on the timer. So Brandon Wilson, I did say he might go for probably about he vexed me. He did. I said he might do 22 laps. He did 21 and then came in and went, damn it! I was hoping he was going to do 22 on the first stint, 22 on the second stint, and then I would have been gone like, yes, I got something right. So it's like, no, we're going to throw a curveball at you, Alex.
This is going to be an interesting. Could be our final closest battle on the racetrack. Mo Islam and Caden Richardson battling it out for the lead in the LMP2s here. See how these guys getting on. But yeah, this is going to be a very, very tasty ending with the next 11 minutes. I think some of these races are already, some of these grid positions, or some of the classes, I should say, are wrapped up. The only one I think will change will be the GTD AMs. I think Sherborne and Oliveira will change positions. With Oliveira taking that lead, Hunter coming in second because he hasn't pitted yet. But the Richardson-Islam battle ain't going to take much to cause a little bit of drama here. I'm hoping these guys manage it.
Yeah, that's going to be quite crucial at this particular time. Just need to see how it pans out because Chris Sherburn has just dived into pit lane. New leader, GTD AM, Samuel de Oliveira on cue, who is on course for what will be his 5th straight victory out of 6 appearances, the way things are going at the moment as we hit the final 10 minutes. And, it was only when we went to America's National Park of Speed on December 8th at Road America that de Oliveira just really started to turn a corner. And he'd finally gotten to grips with the Mustang GTD and found its strengths played to his driving style. And he's maximised that on every single race since then that he's competed in, apart from the one at Portimao, which he missed out on. But still, we're on board with the man from Portugal, 5:22. Oh, that's a lovely. You know what? In the words of NASCAR on Fox, let's give you a bit of ASMR and go cockpit side with Samuel de Oliveira, and let's crank it up. Listen to that Coyote V8 absolutely thunder its way around the circuit.
Yeah, it's interesting for me how it got on with the straight top side. I think it was like 154 mile an hour or something in that car. It did an absolutely amazing job there from Samuel de Oliveira. Dale Green in the Porsche is chasing Chris Sherborne in the Acura, taking the position away from Minkler, who is normally following in here as well. I think you might be right on what it says on that car in front there as well. So these guys are going to continue to have a nice little battle. And we've got 7.5 minutes to go.
So, yeah, Gone Broke. I was right.
You were, yeah.
Gone Broke Racing. There we go. I was right in what I said. I think because we'd seen it on previous rounds, so I was like trying to make it out, and then I saw Gone Broke, and then I saw the R type R as per what Honda and Acura do. But, oh yeah, it's got Gone Broke Racing, his team name on there, but it looks like he's got a bit Sector 5 on us as well now. So that car used to be very predominantly black with a lot of highlighter green on it. But still, Chris Sherburn, he's unfortunately he's not going to get a podium this time. Paul Slavonic, who we've missed for a few rounds here in season 15, he was with us at Mount Panorama, but had a disaster of a race, finished sixth. Then Jerez was not there. Indianapolis was not there. Anyone might remember the round he had at Portimao going into Torre Vip at turn 5. Well, that car went backwards in the wet, and the rear end was completely rearranged. I mean, not even a plastic surgeon could help anybody on that front with regards to that car because it was so badly damaged. And he towed it to the pits, long repair time, and that was when it was really, really significantly wet at the Autodromo Internacional do Algarve. But Dale Green starting to try and close that gap. This is where he might get a little bit of a slingshot, but it's not working that well for the Porsche as they go through. 6 minutes remaining on the timer. Brandon Wilson now on lap 47 of the race. Leader in LMP2, Kadeen Richardson currently on lap 45. Ross Booth leading GTD, lap 42. Same for Samuel de Oliveira, who's about half a lap behind him as things stand. But this is one of the things I love about this track. I know I've already said it once, I'm going to say it again. When they are racing under the night lights at Sebring, it is just absolutely wonderful to see.
Yeah, no, I do agree. I think the racing has been absolutely incredible here as well. Time of day kicking in. Now, it's only up by 7, mind you, but we are on March the 1st.
Yeah, well, Floridian Standard Time.
Yeah, absolutely. But it has been an interesting race. It's been a back and forwards race. Whether or not it was going to be Wilson, whether or not it was going to be Dowd. Richardson's now pulled away from his Lamb. Booth, Ross and Davis. Booth working that Lambo's absolute butt off to get that to the front of the GTDs as well. And he's cleared him here. This Porsche tucking in. Dale Green having a go with Chris Sherburn. And we'll see who's going to come out on top out of these two.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting as we've only got just under 5 minutes to go until the checkered flag here at Autobahn Sportscar Challenge Season 15, Round 11. And more importantly, the Round 3 of the 2025-2026 Autobahn Endurance Cup. Dale Green as they go through Bishop Bend into Gender Bean and then head into the right-hander here at Le Mans before they go down the Almond Straight. Meantime, the lead has expanded between Brandon Wilson and Nathan Dowd to just 10 seconds at this moment. Dominic Dornberg, a further 11 seconds behind at the minute. But Mo Islam seems to have dropped off a little bit. He's lost a little bit of time to Kadeen Richardson in the battle for the LMP2 class lead. The last time around, Islam went 0.4 of a second quicker on their 45th lap of this race. But still, again, there's only 3 more rounds to go after this. And the titles will go down to the wire in every single class, be it GTP, be it LMP2, be it GTD or GTD AM. And also, not just along with that, you've got the also Autobahn Endurance Cup Championships and the overall team standings for the series. Robert Tinsley's had a little bit of a moment in the number 82 Delara P217 from Satellite Racing, but he will score enough some solid points here in P3. Brandon Wilson has now gone on to what is the penultimate lap of this race with 3 minutes remaining on the timer. He's now making his way through turn number 1 as the Hyperion Racing BMW M V8 Hybrid makes its way through into turn 3. And then it's through Big Bend into well, it's going to be then also the run through Gurney and into the hairpin turn. But what a run it's been for Brandon Wilson. Has absolutely mastered the 3000 IQ strat here at Sebring for this round of the series.
Great job, and to be fair, been out in front, dominated it from the beginning to the end, and done an amazing job. So fair play to him. With 1 more lap to go. Hopefully he shouldn't cause himself any dramas. Cunningham and Cast, they're coming close together. Green and Sherborne as well. We will keep an eye on that one. I'll keep an eye on the leader, but I just want to follow these. The leader's got one more lap to go after this, and we'll see whether or not Cunningham can jump cast here.
Yeah, this is quite crucial in the GTD side of things. Of course, Cunningham has not been around since Mount Panorama, where he picked up P3. Robert Cast won that round, and also the following round at the Circuito Jerez Anjaneto in Spain, and then went on to do with the three-peat at Indianapolis. So 3 wins on the bounce. And what's more, Robert Cast also got the pole position and a 0x. But oh dear, they've got to keep out of the way because that was Brandon Wilson just going through as we head into Sunset Bend, which will be for that's Nathan Dowd actually has just got through on them. Last lap underway, white flag in the air. Brandon Wilson now on his final tour as Cunningham and Cast go deep into battle. Bottom of the ninth, bases loaded, and two strikes as Cast flashes the headlights. Cunningham to the outside here into turn number 1. Will he sweep to the outside? He's going to give it a go in the Mercedes. That is brave from Carter Cunningham. And will he get the run on Cast? Yes, he does. That's a great move there. Carter Cunningham through on Robert Cast and is up into P4. Goes to 0-2. Mercedes-Benz, but Robert Cast is not letting him get away with that quite easily.
No, he's trying to come back at him here. He knows it's going to be the final lap, especially for these guys as well, I believe. So it's the leader's on his way around the right-hander at the top part of the race circuit at the moment, in through Cunningham and Collier he goes. But these two are going to continue the battle. Cast is coming back at Cunningham as well through the SC section. After the hairpin, they're going to go once more. There's also Green and Sherborne are having a nice little proper ding-dong in front of these guys. And I do say in front because I do believe they are in front. No, they're actually on the... Oh! There goes Rob Cast. No contact, I don't believe. Chris Sherborne, Dale Green are just coming around the final corner. They're almost neck and neck, the Acura and the Porsche. The Acura has tightened up the line. Is the Porsche going to be able to sweep around the outside? It does look like it has at the moment. But poor Robert Cast spinning it out towards the end there.
But we've now got to concentrate on our last few seconds of this race for our man who's been leading the way from lights out to checkered flag through Sunset Bend, and your winner for round number 11 of the Autobahn Sportscar Challenge of round 3 of the Autobahn Endurance Cup. It is victory for Hyperion Racing's Brandon Wilson, who pulls up the handbrake and puts it sideways across the line to take the victory here in round number 11. Kadeen Richardson on course to take the win, but it is Ross Booth that picks up a well overdue victory because we haven't seen him that often here in the series. He takes the win in GTD. But, well, what can you say about this man here? The Portuguese man of war, the 522, Samuel de Oliveira from Road America. Over the last 6 appearances, this will make it win number 5, having not taken part in Portimao back earlier on this season. And that just goes to show he's done a really, really good job. So Ross Booth has come across the line. De Oliveira now will make his way through. Kadeen Richardson picks up the win in LMP2. But here is our last victor, the 522 of Portugal's Samuel de Oliveira, out of the final corner at Sunset Bend. And he will take his 5th straight win in the series here at Sebring. Great job by the man from Portugal.
Yeah, absolutely stunning run there from him. Great job. Another win for de Oliveira as well.
That's 5 on the bounce.
Yeah,
5 on the bounce.
Is he really an AM?
I think he might be bumped up to pro for the next series.
I was going to say that we're a bit late in the day to be bumping him up now because he'll be well unhappy.
No.
Sherborne and Green run to the line. Sherborne, I think, isn't going to get there. Green has got it. Green goes over the line there as well. Let's bring you up the results of this race before we wrap this one up.
Indeed. So Brandon Wilson takes another victory here in the GTP division, winning by over 10.4 seconds. And with that, he also got pole position in the fastest lap. That's 52 points that go to his tally here at Sebring. Nathan Dowd and Dominic Dernberg round out your top 3 in the GTP side of things. Another win for Kadeen Richardson in the LMP2 division. His first win since the Algarve back on January 5th. So a little bit of a drought for the 082. He wins ahead of Mo Islam and Robert Tinsley. Ross Booth rules the roost in GTD, finishing ahead of Michael Ross. Nick Davis, Carter Cunningham, Trevor Vorosky, Rob Cast. Going to be a different story for the man in the number 42, Aston Martin. He will finish in 12th position, and that rounds out the top 6 in the division ahead of Bradley Haley, who completes the GTD classification. 5 wins out of 6 appearances in a row for Samuel de Oliveira ahead of Shane Hunter with the Mustang 1-2 here at Sebring. We had Dale Green rounding out the top 3 in the 979 Porsche with Chris Sherburn, Rich Minkler, and Paul Slavonic bringing up the last of the classified finishers. Ryan Wyszlewski, Mark Kudrowski finishing early in the race.
Yeah, stunning job from all of these guys. And don't forget, join us a little bit later on as we go and kick in for the next round, of course, at Hockenheim.
So, from up here in the JP Broadcasting Global Broadcast booth, you've been in the company of Alex Goldschmidt and James Parfitt. This has been a live production of the Autobahn Sportscar Challenge Season 15, Round 11 at Sebring, and also Round 3 of the 2025-2026 Autobahn Endurance Cup. We'll see you for round number 12 for a 60-minute adventure in Baden-Württemberg as we head to the famed Hockenheim Ring. Until next time, race hard, race fair, and we'll see you out on track.